Hey everyone, welcome back to Marketing for the Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Braden Cruz, and today we have a part 2 advertising conversation with Mitch Barham of Barham Marketing. I'm excited to have him back as our guest here, and we're going to go into a little bit more of a deeper dive into the social media advertising realm. In this episode, we build upon our previous discussion of social media advertising, diving deeper into advanced strategies for maximizing the potential of TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, and LinkedIn. We explore the nuances of each platform to share expert tips for creating more effective ad campaigns that deliver results. What's going on, Mitch? How are you?
Living the dream, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It's I think we're coming into some nice weather, a little bit more of the springtime weather. It was cold and wet for like the last couple of weeks. We had some thunderstorms roll through, but I think this weekend it's going to be nice enough to where I can take me and one of my boys camping.
Nice. Yeah, it finally, I think, stopped. Winter's maybe gone away for us here, so it finally stopped snowing. So that's a plus.
Yeah. And you're out in Washington, right?
Yeah, Washington State. So we're like in they call a rain shadow of Seattle and everybody. So they like their rain, and then it kind of goes up over the mountains, and then we will catch a lot of the Arctic air coming out of Canada because we're like 2 hours from Canada. And then so we'll literally get snow probably again sometime in April, at least one more time. And then all of a sudden it'll be like, boom, summer, 90 degrees.
Yeah. And just so y'all know that anytime that I'm on TikTok Live, so if you go to the Sooner CEO, you'll be able to watch any of my podcasts on there. And anytime Mitch and I are recording podcasts together, he will be on his own live as well. So you can follow him at Barham Marketing. Or sorry, it's not Barham Marketing. It's the BeardPreneur.
BeardPreneur. Yeah,
and
buddy.
It's the BeardPreneur because of that badass beard you got.
Yeah, I didn't realize those video quality was going to be so clean. I should have shaved and cut my line down, but yeah.
I know. I wish my camera was working. Otherwise, I'd be at that 4K quality too. It'd be good. All right. So, man, let's TikTok has been just crazy between, the whole thing that's going on in the media and the news with the congressional hearing that just happened. We might have touched a little bit on that in the last episode. But in your eyes, in your own words, what in the world is going on with TikTok?
You really have our government officials being, swayed by Facebook, YouTube, Google, in my opinion, really because they're losing market share. I mean, it's like the organic reach on TikTok is huge still. Facebook's is very much pay to play. Instagram's oversaturated. Your reach is really hard to grow like account as fast as you can on TikTok. So they have 150 million Americans, and that's like half of the US population, right? And the fastest growing segment is 35 plus. And so to me, you had these guys you have them basically lobbying and then saying, hey, they're bad because they're owned partially by ByteDance, which is a, China corporation, and oh no, scary China.
Which they probably own more property than we realize. More of our land here. Yeah, I've heard they're buying real estate and everything else. Like, we're already screwed.
Yeah, there's parts of Idaho that, they could build a whole city in like the land that they bought in Idaho by us, that and it's just like, boom, they're a little sovereign city.
Yeah.
But the funniest part of it all to me is like the argument from the government officials is, the tracking and the ads and privacy. Okay, but literally, did we forget about Cambridge Analytica with Facebook?
I love how he pointed that out. That was a hard.
Yeah, but it's totally true. And what people don't realize is Facebook still does the same exact thing. They're just sneakier about it. Like, they've sold our data to China. They've sold it. They were a huge part of Brexit. There was a Bahamian country. Sorry, one of my employees just took a picture of me talking to you.
Jeez.
Me off. It's like, wait, what?
I'll throw in a quick comment about the whole privacy stuff. This is a fun fact. A lot of people don't know this, but if you don't disclose your privacy policy and information and what you do with that, so like if you have a contact form, an email subscribe form, and especially if you're processing payments, if you don't disclose that information, did you know you can be fined for up to $2,500 per website visitor?
Oh yeah.
depending on the
Yeah,
state.
it's huge.
Yeah, and those
And there's
fines,
so many
they
people that
start
don't
at
have
that.
privacy policies. Yeah.
I made a video about it. I don't know if you've seen that. Just
Yeah, I
posted
saw
it
it
yesterday.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yep.
I made a couple more that I'm going to post here in the next few days. So I'm actually turning those into some ads, speaking of which.
Yeah, there you go. Heck yeah. Get some views.
Perfect timing.
Turn them into TikTok ads. No, it's kind of, it's all silly and just posturing and like, oh, scary China. And like, dude, I'm sorry, but like our Google, you can literally see where you've been. They have a freaking tracking line of like, you went here and this is where you went, even with your location turned off. Like they have come out and admitted to that. So
I've seen my Apple settings. They're buried in there. You know, you can see like every little area that you went and where and when and how long you were there and everything too. Yeah.
100%. And then like, if we're so worried about privacy and our government officials are so worried about privacy, why don't they ask Facebook about the setting that's deeply buried inside of Instagram to track your precise location? And I mean, it's like 5 layers deep, and it's a button that is on by default that nobody knows about, because they'll say like, well, I opted out of tracking. Guess what? You might have on the Facebook app, but Instagram is tracking your precise location.
Or a partner of that app, you know, that you've given authorization or permissions to. And no one, you know, everyone wants to use these apps, and it's not like they're going to be like, oh, I'm not going to read the terms of service and I'm just going to delete it. Most people don't do that. They're going to be like, oh, no, I've got to use the app. I've got to get on the platform. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all silly to me. I do personally think it will go. Part of me believes it'll go through, but the way the TikTok ban is being roped into that Restrict Act, which the Restrict Act is borderline Patriot Act 2.0, but on the internet. And so it's very intrusive. They want to get rid of crypto. They want to get rid of VPNs. So if you access TikTok via a VPN, you could face up to 20 years in jail and $250,000 fine.
Starting at.
Yeah. I mean, it's and 20 years in jail for accessing a site that the U.S. government says is bad. Like, come on. It's not like you're on the Silk Road. I don't know if you're old enough to remember Silk Road, but like Silk Road, dark web, like, you know, you're not accessing that. You're accessing a social media platform. Yeah. It's just silly.
And when you guys are, again, for our listeners on there, make sure you follow us on TikTok, because you can actually chime in live and we'll answer some questions from our listeners and our watchers, viewers. So if you guys got questions, you know, chime in, comment, definitely share with, you know, another business owner or colleague that needs to chime in on some of these conversations. Let's talk about some of the TikTok ad formats. I really like talking, you know, a lot of podcasts, a lot of people talk like real big picture. I want to get a little nitty gritty, because this allows business owners to get creative and not just be like, hey, run me some TikTok ads. Right. Like when we're working with some of our mutual clients here, if they knew the different types of ads that can be ran and understood how those are managed, I feel like it'll help inspire some creativity and give a clearer direction and also better understanding in how all of it works. So if he's like, oh, I didn't know that you guys could run a get directions campaign. Right. And then that, you know, you click on the button and then it opens up Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever and gets you directions to, you know, their location. So what are some of the various ad formats that are available on TikTok, such as in-feed ads, or even like some branded hashtag challenges, top view ads, and understanding like the potential of those campaigns?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's TikTok's ad platform's really cool. They recently took away, I think, the target hashtags. We used to be able to target by hashtag, right?
Yeah.
I think that might have just gone away, but you can still do all the geo-targeting, the geo-fencing, the interests. And what's really cool is you can take one piece of creative and let TikTok turn it into like multiple pieces of creative. So like you don't really have to do a lot. But yeah, the like download app ability of like driving people to your app if you have an app, to get directions, call ads, click them to the website, being able to retarget people that have gone to your website because of the pixel. Like retargeting ads are huge. Like, you know, I was on your website, now I'm going to be able to learn more about your business.
I feel like a lot of people don't know about pixels and what that is and what they're used for, why to use them. Like they use that magic blue boost button that you talk about all the time, you know, and then they're like, Facebook ads don't work. TikTok ads don't work. You're like,
no, 100%. And then you tell them, okay, well, you know, like I actually literally had this conversation yesterday with a potential new client. It was like, yeah, you know, the person they're using doesn't like Facebook ads because they don't work. I'm like, okay, well, like how do they how do they run them? And they're like, oh, well, they hit the boost button. I'm like, okay, like that has its place, but for what you're trying to do to drive leads, that's not the most efficient route to go. They have their place. I forget what I was going to say, but shoot, magical blue button.
We were talking about the pixel.
Oh,
so
the
like
pixel.
Ben, setting that up in, you can set that up in your TikTok business manager account.
Right.
It's just about plug and play. And same thing with Meta Business Manager. Like if you can, depending on what website platform it's built on, your website's built on, most of the time, if it's like Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, Shopify, WordPress, it's usually just a couple buttons, and Facebook or Meta and TikTok, they'll give you those options and be like, okay, well, we see based on the URL that you entered, your website's built on this platform. Click here to plug and play, and then you just kind of log in and move on. And in doing those, like I always tell people, making sure that those are installed, like step one, and that's actually something you and I are working on trying to make sure that everyone's pixels are set up properly, because then that gives us more accurate data and more advertising creativity and abilities.
Yeah, no, for sure. The pixel thing, that was like, well, too many people are like, well, like business owners, or I mean, I've even run into some people that run ads, bro, and they're like, what's a pixel? And I'm like,
oh my God.
So, but like explaining it to a business owner, you got to dumb it. Like we have to dumb it down. Well, it's a cookie that tracks people where they're on your website and then allows us to retarget based on the actions taken.
Right.
And that's where to me, the easy money is made is retargeting.
Well, and you can't prove ROAS, right? You can't prove like if someone adds to cart, or if someone submits a contact form, if someone becomes a lead or clicks to call, right? Yep. That's like another big reason why you need to make sure that pixel's installed.
100%. Yeah. You have no way to show attribution. And then not only that, but that pixel basically needs to be there to do what I call feeding. You have to feed the beast. So we have to feed the machine data for it to optimize and know who to go for. So if we're able to track form fills, add to cart, sales, phone calls from the website, because you can literally, create up events that, like, if they click the hyperlinked phone number on your website, it fires off an event. Now it knows, hey, I want to go find more people that look like Braden because Braden clicked the button. So let's go find more people that look like him, because all the platforms have all the data points on us. They know your credit score, how many credit cards you have, how many kids you have, if you rent, if you own. And so they have a profile on all of us. And,
as soon as we found out my fiance was pregnant, she started getting ads.
Yeah, bro.
and I assume it's because she looked up one website with some level of curiosity, and then therefore, like on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok or wherever else, she's being retargeted.
100%. Yeah, she might have looked something up, or say gone to an OBGYN and they know where your location is. So, hey, you might be pregnant. And then they say they're not tapped into our microphones. I kind of call baloney. But, if you talk about something enough, you will all of a sudden get those ads.
Yeah. So is it simple enough to say that, like on TikTok, for example, there's basically two different types of ads, different ways to advertise on there. Like you have your Spark ads, and then you have your non-Spark ads?
Yeah, you have your non-Spark ads. I've honestly found that Spark ads perform the best. When I run TikTok ads, I also take off the extended audience network. It reminds me a lot of Facebook 10 years ago, where we all removed the audience network because it was like, crap. But yeah, being able to actually grab good content. So if you have a piece of content that's living on the page, and being able to grab that and use it as an ad to, whether it's just to boost awareness, or, to use it as a call to action, or you could add in the call to actions. I love Spark ads because they're great. Right. And then that views is kind of like using a post on Facebook, that it also puts that engagement on the page. And so then if somebody goes to the page to see all these views, it's just a win-win. But you could do non-Spark ads 100%, where you upload the videos, create the call to actions, links, apps. You can dynamically have call to actions show up on the video, or choose, learn more, shop now, get directions, whatever. Yeah. But I really love Spark ads, and hopefully we continue.
I tell people that the Spark ads are kind of like the blue boost button. And I always tell everyone, like, and it's funny because it's almost ass backwards, like compared to Meta, right? That blue boost button you got to be careful with. Occasionally it can apply and it can work well, but then outside of that, like typically if you're wanting to run a campaign, don't make a post and then expect that boost to work like a campaign will. But
yeah, so if you're using the promote feature on like your profile, 100%, it's like that magical blue boost button. But through the back end of the TikTok ads manager, being able to do more of that interest targeting, and then using an existing an existing ad, which they still call Spark ads on the backside. Yeah. As long as I could do more interest targeting, because I've done the magical blue boost button on TikTok a couple times, and it's just crap.
So I found, I don't know, a lot of people don't know this either. I tell people to never hit that promote button on their phone unless they've previously set up their TikTok business manager account and associated that profile to their account and connected the ad account and the payment method that way. Because anytime you hit that promote button, and let's say you just process a payment straight from your phone, they charge 30% more than as if you were to purchase those on your computer. Like if you were to actually go to the website and buy them. So like 30%, that's a lot. If you were to spend $100, like there goes $30 of that out the door that you could have saved. And that could have made a bigger impact on your campaign.
100%.
So, okay. So we talked a little bit about the retargeting stuff with Facebook retargeting, discussing the power of retargeting and Facebook advertising and how to create like custom audiences to re-engage users who have previously interacted with your ad. Tell me a little bit more about like how does that work? So again, like maybe we run like a larger brand awareness campaign, still with a target audience that we've built, let that run for 90 days and then come back around. And then that will give us ability to retarget. Is that how that works?
I mean, yeah, but the way I've done it forever and the way I do it is I don't like waiting to run a retargeting ad. Like, let's run it right away. Because as I'm driving, so as we're prospecting and finding new people to go to a website, whether you're a dentist, a lawyer, an e-commerce website, whatever, like I want to retarget right away. So you can start off, especially on the retargeting ads, with a lower budget, right? Because it's a smaller audience. And so you can say go with like $5. So you drive the traffic to the website. The audiences you can create are endless, realistically. I mean, it's like, you can to retarget by the URL, by the blog post, by the collection category pages. Did they fill out a form? Did they not fill out a form? Did they, what did they do? Like it's crazy. And then especially when it comes to website stuff, you can go back 180 days and create a retargeting audience. And so the way I like to do retargeting audiences, like when I build these custom audiences, I also build them for like, 14, 30, 60, 90, 120, 180 to see which one works. The 14 might be too small right out of the gate, and then you move to 30, or there's just over time you figure out, this, 30 is where it's at, 60 is too big because you can get too big and kind of get too many looky-loos. And so then you got to tighten that back down to that 30-day audience. But having it already pre-built is populating it as you're driving traffic from any of the platforms, right? So you could have traffic coming from Google, from TikTok, from Facebook, and then you can retarget across all the platforms as long as you have the pixels on there. So I like to run the retargeting ads right away. And then it's, just depending on what the objective is, there could be an offer, there could not be an offer, and just get that money right away.
So did you know, a lot of people don't know this, you probably already know this, but a lot of people don't know that you can upload a CSV file with your leads or with your customer database, right? So if you upload those, you can create a lookalike audience.
Yep.
How does that work?
So you upload the CSV. I love doing, with, across every industry. So your leads, your existing customers, for e-commerce, people who purchased, a lot of times there's actually API integrations. I'll just do it right away. So in like real time. But what they do is all the platforms, again, have a ton of information on us. So they, at a minimum, know your IP, your email that you signed up with. They know your device information. They have our names, our phone numbers, all this stuff. We give this information to them when we sign up, right? So you take that information into CSV, plug it into the platform, whether it's Facebook, Meta, Google, TikTok, whatever. And it basically, you say, hey, create a lookalike of, 1% of the population of whatever country you're creating so the US is like going to be like a 4 million person audience. Then it'd be like, depending on, well, what they do is they go out and they find people who mirror that list. So who have the same interests, because again, it knows our interests. It knows what we buy. It knows where we go. It knows everything. So it goes out, grabs a segment of the population, pulls them in and goes, cool, here's your audience of people that mirror this list that you gave us. And then you run ads to them. And that's like considered advanced targeting to a lot of people, but it's literally the lowest hanging fruit that there is.
And sometimes people are like, they get all fancied by the reach and the impressions, right? And like when someone comes to them and they want to sell them on ads and advertising, they go, well, we could reach 100,000, 200,000, 2 million or whatever people in 30 days. And it's only going to cost you $1,000, $100 or whatever it is. Right. And I feel like, especially in the B2B space, I'd rather hit 1,500 people that I pulled from my lead gen list and run a very specific little short handheld video or some static graphic or something like that that's targeted just to those 1,500 people. Then when I reach out to them via email or have phone call conversations or there's a mutual network connection there, they're like, oh, that rings a bell. I saw that. I heard that. I mentioned that, like, it can hopefully like increase the opportunities to bring in new business, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's where like you're saying I heard about that or I saw that, like that's where retargeting comes into play, right? Like you're going to have some people who will react right away to whatever you're offering. And those are the super low hanging fruit. But a lot of times it takes people 7 to 31, 34 times of like seeing something about the brand, unless you're, Coca-Cola or something, to actually go out, like to take action.
But even then, like the people who compare that kind of thing is like that brand is so big that they have to constantly be brand recognition. Like that is it. Right. The logo at as many places and as most common as possible because it funnels all the way back through retail, right? Yeah.
No, 100%. It's and the whole reach and impressions thing. I don't so much care. Actually, I don't care at all about reach and impression. What I care about is, this will kind of lead into like analyzing results and data and the nerdy stuff that you and I like to do. But
which is one of our talking points with ad performance analysis. Yeah.
Ad performance. I care about, it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, we could, it gives you an estimation and everything of like how many people you're going to reach, but realistically what like we as marketers care about, and I think every business owner should care about, is the end result. Am I getting leads? Am I getting sales? What's the click-through rate? That's the biggest one is click-through rate. So you could show your ad to a million people, but if hardly anybody clicks through, it was just a total waste of money. Nobody, they saw it. Great. Like you might as well brand a TV commercial.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I have this cheat sheet that I like to share with people and especially with my clients. This cheat sheet covers basically averages. And I believe this is from 2021. No, it's from 2022. It is from last year. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's nice. So on the social media level, they find research, the average Facebook click-through rate is 0.21%.
Yeah, it's about right.
Sound about right. And the average CPM on Facebook is $5. Average cost per click is $4. Right?
Yep. Yeah, at 0.21, that makes sense. Yeah. Ours are a lot lower, but yeah. well, yeah. So, those are averages, right? So those aren't like industry specific or anything. Those are just big picture. Yeah. I like to have a lot of conversations with our current clients or even potential candidates for clients as well. And I like to show them this sheet and I go, when we're spending ad money and we want to know about performance, if you go, hey, you guys are only generating 1 to 2 calls a week, I was expecting 1 to 2 a day. And I'm like, okay, well, your campaign, like your ads are working. They are performing above average. Now it just comes down to what are you spending in ad money, right? Now, if you want to go from 1 to 2 a week to 1 to 2 a day, okay, you need to 5x your budget, right? And you're going to get that, right? The numbers work. The math is working at a lower grade budget. Upgrade the budget. Yep. No, for sure. 100%. I think we kind of touched on it last time. Well, it's just like the law of averages, and math. Like you drive X amount of people to the website, this amount how many people are converting. Okay, boom. Now we know, like, based on this kind of math and averages of, just like across all industries, ecom, it's going to probably be about 1%, like lead forms is probably closer to 20%. So we can work that math backwards. And this, and then like we've discovered that we really have to get good at setting expectations when it comes to budget.
Yep.
Like this is what you'll probably, I can't guarantee, but this is what you'd probably expect to see. And then once that starts happening and you want more, we got to spend more. And then find more audiences to target. We can scale ads vertically by spending more, but then we got to go horizontally with more audiences and, to keep that snowball effect going. But no, 100%. It's the 0.21 click-through rate is pretty low, but it sounds about right.
And just for you guys, for reference, so let me look up here. If we're going to look at SEM, which that's typically, most people know that as Google ads, you're going to find that those are click-through rate of an average of 67% for Google AdWords, 0.1 to 0.2% click-through rate for a display network, 0.9 to 1%, so basically 1% for click-through rate on mobile banner ads, and an average cost per click of $4 to $13, and paid search to a sales qualified lead conversion rate is around 2 to 4%.
Right.
So, yeah. And again, like you mentioned a good comment about educating people, our clients about that, and saying, hey, just because we come up with a number and we start spending that and we start advertising, don't come back and tell me it's not working. Again, like, let's look at the math and the numbers. And there's also that accountability on their side, which I tell everyone that too. I'm like, how is the right hand supposed to know what the left hand's doing? Like, if you provide me quarterly, monthly, annually, whatever, with some sales reports that says, here's what we've done for each different category of our services, and here's another report that shows how we've tracked where those customers are coming from, I can then know, oh, okay, well, this is what those campaigns are doing to drive that kind of business, right? And then where to make adjustments as well.
100%. We've started helping a lot of clients even get systems in place internally to do that. Because like early on, we had a lot that I unfortunately assumed that people had systems and processes in place to track their new customers. Nobody does.
Nobody.
And so like even during my discovery call, like that's a big question. Then it's like, okay, cool. That's fine. Are you willing to let us help you put those in place? Because then that's going to help you, one, understand where your money's going, how it's working, and then me to better optimize. Because I can also take, like, say you're a gym, there's no way to automatically show attribution, right? Like we can take your list of new signups, upload them into the platforms for offline attribution, and then go, this is where these ads did this. And there has to be that communication heavily between business owner or businesses and marketing agency, both, even if it's an internal marketer or external. Otherwise, you're just spending tons of money thinking everything's going good, and then all of a sudden they're pissed off and you're like, well, shoot.
You're right. I've got another question. Do you think it is better? Okay, let's just use $1,000 to make it easy. I have $1,000 advertising budget. I want to be on all the platforms. I want to be on YouTube. I want to be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and let's just throw LinkedIn in there. Let's have 5. I want to be on all of those. Is it best for you to follow through and say, okay, well, $200, $200, $200, $200, or whatever, right? Or is it best to say, okay, well, look into it a little bit further and say, okay, where are your customers primarily? Okay, well, maybe they're not on LinkedIn. We'll take away that. Okay, well, maybe they're not on TikTok. We'll take away that. Looks like that they're probably, they love watching YouTube videos. They like being on Facebook and Instagram. Like, is that a better approach, or is it better to be like on all 5 and kind of divide that budget to where it's spread thin?
No, the latter.
Or does it depend?
It with a smaller budget, with like say $1,000, it to me, we have to really maximize how that money works, right? So you could want, and this again, it goes down to, education. You could think that your customers are on LinkedIn. And then you could think that your customers are watching YouTube, and they are. But at the same time, to me, I'm like, okay, who's your ideal customer? Then Mr. Potential new clients or clients, what's the goal here? Is it to drive sales? Is it to get leads, walk-ins to your business, app downloads? Like, what's the goal? Okay, so then depending on that, it's like,
sometimes you have to tell them your goal. You're like, no, okay, 100%. This is your goal.
Yeah, your goal is to get leads. Sorry, bro. Like, that's just what it is.
Yeah. But they tell you, they go, well, we want brand awareness, right? I've had clients tell me that over the last 2 or 3 years that I remember of. And before we actually start working on anything, that's what they tell me. They go, oh, we just want people to know who we are. Right. And then 6 months to a year in, they're like, hey, why isn't this driving business? And I'm like, because that's not the goal. You haven't told me that I need to focus on that, because otherwise that would drive different directions in content that's produced and the type of ads that are created.
No, absolutely. And it changes the objectives of the ads, the campaigns that you choose, like, what it is. But so I like, back to the money thing real quick, I will ultimately determine that, like, and depending on the business, Google search might not be where you need to be. But I also educate when it comes to like YouTube that, like, look, YouTube is a great platform for brand awareness. I will not be able to show direct attribution to that video running for sales or leads. It is a real multi-attribution point, because they might see the video, then they remember it later on, then they go to Google search, and your Google search ad pops up, and then they click that, and that's what gets the attribution. Like, it's a real pain in the ass. But I'll whittle it down on smaller budgets to like 2 platforms. Like, okay, we're going to start with Facebook, and we're going to start with Google search. And then depending on how those perform, I might move budget, because we've had it before where a client was just swore hell and back that like Facebook was not going to work and Google was where it's at. And I'm like, okay, but give me, like, I want to use a little bit of budget over here on Facebook because I think you're wrong. But I say it in a nice way, but like, I think you're wrong.
Yeah.
I've been doing this too long that like, I think you're wrong. And I've spent shitloads of money of my own money on Facebook. And then come to find out, Facebook crushes it. Facebook, Instagram crushes it versus Google. And there's like hardly anything on Google. It's like, well, yeah, Google, people are looking for a solution to their problem, to where Facebook, we're putting your business in front of them and driving an action. And no matter what I do, even if somebody, like, to your brand awareness point, if somebody's like, yeah, we want to drive brand awareness, I'm like, cool, we totally will. I'll use a video in a conversion of a campaign that's optimized for leads or sales, purchases, add to carts. I still want to make that end result. And I'm kind of bossy, not really bossy, but like very firm on like, okay, you might think you have an idea of what you want. And brand awareness kind of turned into a brand, like a buzzword too for a while with businesses.
Yeah.
And kind of like Google search all of a sudden became hot again. Like, I don't know if you noticed that, but like Google search became like this cool thing again. And I'm like, this is interesting how this is converting back to Google search from Facebook. But
sometimes like I hired you for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. And if you just take my orders, what's the difference between you and, a virtual assistant, at a much cheaper rate, or for me just to have my, somebody in-house, have my cousin do it for free.
Totally.
So I need you to be direct.
Yeah. I literally had that conversation, I kid you not, with a client 2 days ago. He's like, well, our ads are performing. And he's like, well, like, okay, what do you think about like taking what I was doing before and, using that and like integrating that? And I was like kind of beating around the bush. And I was like, all right, look, I can't, I don't know how to, don't take any offense to this, Mr. Client, but if I'm doing that, what are you paying me for? And he's like, well, no, that's true. And he goes, and you are the expert in this. And I'm like, yeah, otherwise you could just do it yourself. Yeah. I was like, boom, mic drop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it just depends. Like, there's a lot that kind of goes into that. But for the most part, unless you're B2B, you don't really need to be too much. You don't need to be on LinkedIn. Like business to business is LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is a whole other beast.
It's a whole nother beast, and their advertising platform sucks, in my opinion. It's very, it's very minimal, best way to put it. I tell people, and you tell me your thoughts on this too. I tell people it's good to be on LinkedIn if you're B2B. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you're in construction, mm-hmm. IT, if you're a SaaS company, right? Mm-hmm. Outside of that, Joe, your cousin, is not going to be on there. Like no, if you're a restaurant, if you're in retail, don't be on LinkedIn. And I don't even want to get started about Twitter, because I think that when Elon bought it, I think he bought it with the intention to put it under on purpose.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, he's like, I just want to expose everything and just put it under.
Yeah. I just want to prove a point that you guys were doing this, and
imagine how much power he got from that too. Like
tons.
Especially with his any influence that he puts out, right? Mm-hmm. It makes a huge ripple effect. So this kind of conversation is about the cross-platform advertising, as we try to explore the benefits of running integrated campaigns across multiple social media platforms and how to create a cohesive advertising strategy. And I liked I liked your answer on that. I had a thought about how you can't just spend $100 on Facebook the way that you can spend $100 on Google ads and then expect to work the same, right? I recommend people that if they want to get started on Google ads, you at the bare minimum $500 or more.
Oh, easily. I usually won't touch it for less than $1,000. Like ad spend $900 to $1,000, so I can get a good $20-$30 a day.
And that's because it's a little bit more expensive to advertise on that platform, opposed to, it's more expensive not because it's Google, but because it's more conversion based, right? People go to Google usually for an action or knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And anytime someone's running ads, it's usually to get a conversion. You don't do that for brand awareness, right? No. Other than that, you would go to a social media platform for brand awareness, right? So like, I also tell people at bare minimum, you can't get started on Facebook or Instagram, for example, for ads for less than $250 a month. It's just not worth it, right? Yeah, no. Like, I would rather you save that $250 a month for 3 months or 4 months and then give me $1,000 budget and let me spend that in 30 days because I can blow you up.
Oh, 100%.
I can just make you, we could bring you leads, sell business, whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
Better with that $1,000 budget in a 30-day time frame opposed to $250 over, No, like we have, like, as you know, like with our social clients, that's just like our kind of like maintenance boost budget, little thing here and there. And I always encourage our clients too to like come up with some campaign ideas with us and to strategize with that on a monthly or quarterly basis and say, hey, can we run any campaigns? Is there any offers, promotions, or ideas that we can run? Let's increase that budget temporarily from $250 this month to $750, and let's run a $500 campaign.
Mm-hmm. Well, and another thing too is a lot of it comes down to the length of time it'll take to test and get the data back that guys like you and I need to look at. I watched a video the other day. I forget where it was, but this person was trying to say it takes, and they had a pretty healthy budget, but they were saying that like Facebook ads to take 7 to like 14 days to test, and I was like, no, I mean if you have the right, $20 a day. I can look at that soft data in 3 days and go, this is going to work or not. The
for those who don't do the math that quick, that's about $500 a month.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, you're $500, $600, but I can know in like 3 days, right, whether it's going to work or not. Kind of the same thing on Google. You're going to be able to, Google's more like 3 to 5 days for me, at least. But yeah, and then you can, ramp it up but to me, a lot of the budget comes down to just testing. The smaller the budget, the longer we have to wait to know if something's going to work. And I want to get you results as fast as possible. And, even just for me being a business owner outside of the agency and before even having the agency, like I was just impatient, ADHD about my ads and like, why aren't they working? And then, 3-4 days later, they kick in. And it's like, oh, okay. And so then over time you'll learn it takes this long for everything to kind of kick in.
Yeah. And again, I'll always emphasize that it's so important that, if you hire someone to run ads for you, such as, yourself, I need to give you data or numbers and say, okay, here are the results that I'm seeing from that on my end. So if it's non-e-commerce related, let's say like one of our landscaping clients, we talked to them the other day and they were like, everyone's saying nothing but good stuff about us. Like we're all over the place. We have more business than we know what to do with. We can't, we're having a hard time finding people to hire and our whole hiring stuff. And so, yeah, you guys are killing it. You guys are doing such a great job. And so I'm like, okay, well, that's some good feedback. We're not concerned about numbers and sales yet. Well, we'll have another conversation with somebody else and they're like, I really need traffic or I need business to these locations. Right. And I always want to know too, like, okay, well, is that a certain dollar figure or is that just a number of people in the door? Is that a certain number of orders? Like what's your average transaction? Like things like that. I'd like to know. And you have to like, as a business owner, you guys need to be able to disclose that to people like us so that we can understand how to make sure that those ads are optimal.
100%. And know if the ads are even going to work. I mean, it's like if your average ticket value, no matter the business is $2, like,
and your cost per click is $30 and you convert on average, 3 people. It's like, all right, now you're just blowing money.
Right.
I'll take donations.
I've literally told potential clients that like, hey, my opinion, like don't pay anybody to do this. And these are the things XYZ I would do if I was you to build up my, your average ticket value, your average order value, if you're online, to get people to buy more in store, whatever, to justify the ad spend. Cause you need to make a net positive on the ad spend and, at a minimum the ad spend. And if it's too low, it's not going to work. So then we can properly you and I can properly guide which platform is going to be best, what objective is going to be best. Is it going to be reach, which is super cheap? Is it conversions are the most expensive? Is it traffic? All that kind of stuff. But it's shocking to me still that a lot of business owners don't know that information. I don't know if you run into that where they don't know it. I'm like, how, like, you need to know that.
Yeah. It's almost like business 101. I've got two other topics. One is staying ahead of the curve. And then the other one had something to do about the importance of reporting. I just noted that. Hold on. It was about creative. Let me start with that and then we'll end on staying ahead of the curve. So some people will argue about how important or not important creative is. I have heard and seen some ads with terrible creative and copy that outperform the expectations of what it presumably should have, should have ran. Well, then, you'll have perfect, crisp, clear ad copy or beautiful video, right? Some level of creative and an elaborate copy, and it'll run terribly.
Right.
What's your opinion, experience, ideas on is creative really that important?
No, in my opinion, and I'll tell you why. So it is on certain platforms, but to me on the social platforms.
So like TikTok, it's important?
No, almost not even TikTok, because everything's phone, right? So
what about like Facebook then? Is it important?
YouTube would be about the only one that I'd say like, yeah, you want to have like some kind of professional shot video. But I've also seen like Alex Becker run videos with his webcam, with his Ferrari in the background in his garage, just crush it. So it kind of depends. But in my experience, and this literally comes from one of my e-com businesses that we grew to multi 7 figures. And my business partner at the time, and this was Facebook, Instagram, because TikTok wasn't even around when we were testing this. But my business partner was very, very adamant that like, no, bro, like we need high production value. Like I want crisp, clean videos, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, they don't like, it doesn't matter. It's that old WWE kind of analogy that I use of like back in the day of WWF, you had kayfabe, they were those characters all the time. But with reality TV, that fourth wall's been broken down and they want to see behind the scenes. They like, and then on the feeds, you want it to look like it belongs there. Like, oh, I know this dude. Yeah. So we literally,
it doesn't look like an ad. You're like, oh God, keep swiping.
Right. No, 100%. It looks like it. I want things to not look like an ad, and whether that be video or, a static image or whatever, I wanted them to be like, I might know that person. But I finally broke down and was like, all right, dude, yeah, fine. Well, let's go ahead and produce it. We spent like 5 G's on these like really nice ass videos. I ran it against his iPhone 7 video shot in his backyard with people walking behind him, dogs barking. We're talking 3 to 4 times the difference in results from the iPhone one to the professionally shot one. And so that's been has gone the same way for multiple clients, multiple things. So if you're on the social platforms, 100%, I believe, and in my testing and my results, it's kind of like the crappier the quality. So not high production value, clean cuts, all this stuff. Like it does better because it doesn't look like an ad. They stop, they watch it, they look at it, and they're like, oh crap, it's an ad. Whoops. But now we already got you. Right?
Yeah. I kind of qualify on the video production side of stuff, and in 4 different stages. You have your raw, which is just as how it is, however you shot it is. You don't edit, you don't color grade, you don't crop, you don't trim, nothing. And then you have your natural, which is like, okay, maybe I'll cut out the ums, the buts, and the quiets, or you know, maybe I'll enhance the brightness or exposure or whatever. And then you have your edits, which is like, okay, now I'm gonna color grade it. I'm gonna make it look commercial style. It's gonna be, you know, good looking. It's going to look like an ad. It's gonna look like you put some work into it. And then you got film, right? Which is like you're shooting with a red camera.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, to me, when it like content matter or the content creation matters. Like you can't have your Nokia flip phone doing video and expect it to do good, or take a picture like that.
So at least an iPhone 10 or newer is recommended,
right?
Or a Pixel 3 or newer, 4 or newer.
Yeah. Don't use your Nokia brick phone. But if you have decent enough creative and the right audience with the right messaging, it will work. And that's something that is still kind of I'm finding we have to educate clients and business owners about, as they get hung up on the creative side. And I'm like, don't overthink it.
Yep.
You know, just create it. And then, you know, you're going to be editing the video to like, even to like, to your point with my old business partners, iPhone video, I did edit it to take out the weird pauses, the ums, the ahs, the bloopers. So, I mean, but it was a 3.5 minute video, and it just crushed it top of funnel. And then we could, you know, retarget based on video views and everything.
I'll say like, too, that it also like the way that people are consuming content has changed, right? So they're not
tremendously.
They want to see the natural style. They want to see the raw. They want to know what's behind the scenes, like what you said.
Yep. Oh yeah, I mean, you have behind the scenes of everything anymore. It's like, and behind the scenes of Impractical Jokers, behind the scenes of, you know, you got 20 million reality TV shows. You got behind the scenes of all the wrestling shows now, and I mean, it's like everybody wants to see behind the curtain, and you know, the people buy from people. And so if you can get, I mean, one of your guys is, I love the, I think it's Andolini's. I mean, he does such a great job. Like, I mean, he's
a one-shot Rick.
No, he's great. Like, I mean, that's amazing. But he's like energetic. You want to go meet him. You want to go like in the food shop. I mean, it's like, it all looks amazing, but it looks authentic enough, like on social, that I'm not going to like just swipe. Like, he's not just trying to sell me something. You know what I mean? Like it's phenomenal.
I'd like to repurpose some of those too, by the way. Conversation. Sure. So, and we're trying to, and again, we're, you know, we've got some good opportunities there. So the last thing to probably note on is trying to stay ahead of this curve. We're trying to explore emerging social media advertising trends, and any ideas on how to adapt strategies to maintain, you know, competitive advantage in this like ever evolving digital landscape.
So one thing, I mean, you could pay attention to what everybody's doing is like the easiest way. If, because what I find is you have, if everybody's running video fatigue is going to start to kick in, right? And then you start to notice, I'll start testing like static images, and static images are killing it, and they're super cheap because everybody's running video, right? Yep. So as it becomes popular, I start to move away from it. So now you would like, you know, TikTok at its inception was extremely cheap. It's still very cheap, but everybody started to kind of move into there because we all found out like, oh, that's the place to be. So then as it gets too saturated, then like for me, I'll go back and focus more on another platform because everybody moved over here. Thank you guys for going over there. Now I'm going to go back over here, and it's going to be super, super cheap. And you can follow like certain, you know, influencers and websites that'll kind of tell you like what's up and coming, but like everybody's, you know, following that, and then, you know, will pivot. But when it comes to new platforms, like let's just say a new platform, I think there's like a new TikTok, well, ByteDance.
Supposedly it's a new TikTok, but it's just in case TikTok goes, this new company that's probably also owned by somebody else in TikTok can start it with an American, name and, person or whatever. But yeah, it's not going to take over. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that one's called Lemonade. And then there's like Rizzle and there's a few other ones that
I can't get behind them all, man. I can't stay up.
No, I mean, there's so many of them, but it's like, as you start to see, like you have to really evolve or die when it comes to platforms, and like not be romantic about the way it was, and be willing to go from video to static images to carousel images, and always be testing different creatives, different styles, different call to actions. Everything has its ebbs and flows. So, but my biggest thing is, as everybody starts to do it, I know it's time to start looking at something else.
I like how you bring that up too. There's an electrical company that I'm looking at us working with sometime in the next week. I'll be meeting with them again on Tuesday. And one of the things that I told them, I was like, you guys need to be doing things that other people are not doing. Right. But then again, there's kind of two parts of that conversation. If all of your competitors, if all of them are doing billboards, get off billboards, put that money somewhere else. If all of them are on the radio, don't be on the radio, right? Your audience, whatever, it may be there, right? But maybe your competitors aren't on Facebook. Maybe they're not on Instagram. Maybe they're not on TikTok. Maybe they don't have any video content, right? So I was discussing with them. I was like, first of all, your website's a little archaic, and you have no context, no video content that people would love to watch to learn more about that particular service that you guys offer. Get FAQ style, which will help out with the advertising, which will help out with customer service. So they aren't just ads, right? If a customer has an issue, you send them a link to the video. If they come across that video in search results, well, then great. Guess who they're calling, right?
100%.
And make some content. You guys have been a family-owned business for 57 years. Like where's the vibe? Like you guys have been around. You guys are family. You guys love each other. You guys you guys have been through thick and thin. You're third generation of this business. I want to know some of that history. I want to know what it's like behind the doors. I want to know what it's like with you guys interacting with customers and with each other and stuff like that. And I was like, if we can come out and we can visit with you guys once or twice a month, capture some good content, turn some of those into some ads. If we have a special promotion or an offer, then I want to make sure I've got the budget to be able to, create some actual ads or whatever. But again, I want us to kind of stay to more of that natural style with the occasional edits, so that I want to make sure you look professional. Right. You're right. I want you to have that type of recognition, but I also need to connect with people on a more personal level. So I need that consistency, that fresh content, the stuff that's more natural or raw.
Right. Oh, 100%. And like you said, if just because your competitors are doing it and they're all doing it doesn't mean you need to do it. Actually means you need to do the opposite, because it's probably going to be expensive. Which
is funny, because people are like, you need to get on the trend, man. It's trending. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, if you're not in early enough, it's too late. Like as soon as it hits and it starts to trend, and if you don't pick up on that train, by the time it hits its peak and everyone's doing it, it's too late. It's already gone. It's already too late.
Oh, let's use the analogy of an MLM, like, Isogenics. Let's all go sell Isogenics right now. Like, nah, man, the time for that was like 10 years ago. The OGs were the ones killing it. The rest of everybody else are like way late to the game. And so if everybody's on, like YouTube is still so untapped because people don't understand it and they don't know how to do it. TikTok's the same thing. But like even on Facebook, like Facebook's not saturated if you pick the right audience. And that's another big thing, but 100%. If everybody's doing it, I'll give it a little bit, and then I start to pivot away from it and go back to what people aren't doing. Yep. And I learned that from dudes that have $100 million a year companies, e-commerce stores.
You're swinging back and forth, and you're trying this and then going back to that. And then man, this has been like very exciting and a lot of educational. I feel like a sponge here. And I hope that everyone else listening and watching is as well. Do you have any final thoughts that we need to point out?
I don't think so. I mean, one thing we've covered a lot. just as business owners, and when it comes to your marketing, knowing what's your actual goal. Like, I mean, it in my opinion, it should always be to make money. Then how much, what are your metrics? And then, be able to plan with that, plan with guys like us. And even for other marketers, like knowing that stuff is huge. But to me, I just find so much. I mean, we kind of touched on it too with like the objectives. Like, it's just know your objective, because then that guides everything. And communication's huge. I think that there's too much fear around communication.
Close curtains. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm not going to tell you if I'm making money. Like, no, I need to know if you're making money.
No, 100%. It's like you might charge me more. I'm like, no, I'm not going to. Like, no, I don't care. I want to make sure that we're doing our job, like you said. And if you don't like something, I mean, I'm very transparent and open with every single new client, existing clients. Like, if you don't like something, something's not working, like, please speak up. It's your money, it's your baby. My job is to make you money.
Yeah. Not
you're making more money and then you need to pay me more. Like, no. But it just overall in the entire world, communication.
Yep. Being able to properly communicate and timely, and I think vulnerability is a big key point that you just kind of mentioned, right? Mm-hmm. You got to be open, and especially if you want to grow, you don't need to tell someone, when the last time you went to the bathroom and what that experience was like, right? So there's some boundaries, right? We don't have to go extreme here, but when it comes to the business side of things, like, I need to know if what we're doing is working, and I need you to give me some consistent, honest feedback. So, Mitch, man, the BeardPreneur, follow this guy on TikTok. I love his TikTok videos. They're awesome. They're raw. They're educational. They actually give me some insights on what I could do for my business, and I feel like that you guys would get a lot of valuable insights from his TikTok videos as well. You can also follow him on Facebook and Instagram. And are you on YouTube?
Yep.
And on YouTube,
all under BeardPreneur. Yep.
Awesome. And of course you can follow me. A lot of my content's going to be geared toward business in general, with the side of marketing, and then a little bit of coffee and family. So a lot of good stuff there. If you guys missed out on the live from when we discussed this episode, anytime that I'm recording podcasts, you can get in over here and get like that behind the scenes type look, right? Style and feel. Go follow me on the Sooner CEO on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I'm on all those platforms. Try to post as much as I can on those to kind of keep you guys in the loop on everything that's going on in this ever-changing world. So I appreciate you, Mitch, and I appreciate everyone that's listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Absolutely. Thanks, man.